We'll talk tariffs, we'll talk credit cards, and a little bit of co-mingling again. But let's get it going. Gabe, what we got?
Yeah, so starting April 15th, Amazon is pulling ad spend from our proceeds. What does this mean for our clients, David?
Some of them means nothing. Others, it's quite the pain in the butt now to get everything going. We were talking about like onboarding new clients just before we started recording. What if they just launched? Like we got some clients that like, hey, I have products on the water. I want to get this going. And it's like, okay, well, how do you now launch your product, start spending on advertising, get it going without the credit card on file, right? And so Amazon has a couple of things. I guess they're doing a $2,500 credit for some accounts. Now we got to do some more research on like exactly what those accounts are going to be, how they're going to roll that out, how they're going to track those credits. And we've all seen like Meta credits and Instagram ad credits, and Google is renowned for their $50 credit, right? When you start a new campaign. But Amazon launched a $2,500 credit. That could be super helpful for some, and that could be a week's spend for others, right? Like we have a client we just talked to, their goal is to spend $12,000 a month. Right now we're spending 2/3 of that, and so like that's $2,500. What's that? I've got a new financial operation I need to figure out. So it could be a little bit of a pain for some of our clients for sure.
Yeah. I was kind of reading here that it used to be, and how we thought of it before was revenue minus fees, and now it's like revenue minus fees minus ad spend.
Yeah.
So,
and that's been the case for some of our clients. Like startup clients are like, just take it out of the ads. I don't want to see it. They're kind of against like credit cards, right? So some smaller clients are for it, and they've been on that platform. So those are the ones that it doesn't really do anything, right? But now everybody needs to make sure that there's that process now in play. So resellers is going to be a big one for them because they buy on credit cards, they cash flow for credit cards, they bank on the sale to pay off all that debt. So for them, it might be pretty impactful for sure.
Yeah. What's the benefit for Amazon to do this?
Amazon's probably been floating like all of the credit card fees since they launched. I think for them, they've been taking the hit on all the processing fees and payment fees, because you don't ever see a 2.99% interest on your credit card usage for advertising. So yeah, they save it somewhere else. So they're basically making another 3% because they don't have to take that hit and maintaining those fees, right? I would think so. So they're no longer floating that fee. My tinfoil hat is that they're going to just launch their credit card and payment processing. They already have a credit card, but they're just going to push that even harder, right? And so they'll probably double dip more than ever. Yeah.
Give you incentives to use the credit card in ads and whatnot. It makes sense.
Yeah. Start their own bank, basically. Yeah. Good.
Yeah. My other question would be, with our like high volume advertisers, can they do anything to minimize this cash flow hit?
And for those guys, that's where this gets really hard, where they're so used to it. We talked about how like Amazon in some cases is 50% of total sales. We try to keep our clients TACOs, total acquisition cost of sales, which is basically your ad spend to your total sales, around 15%. So take, 15% of $100,000 a month, that's $15,000 spent on advertising for any given client, right? That's just easy math there. So now you're going to have to take that $15,000 out of your cash flow, right? Immediately. And so how Amazon is going to ensure it gets its get money is basically like it's just going to take it all out, and then it's going to start managing your payouts a little bit differently. Because when you first launch a store, your payouts are like, they hold everything. You might get a little bit back here and there every 2 weeks, but they'll probably manage a lot more and hold that to a much tighter standard. So I'm super interested for them. How is the payouts going to get affected? Does that go to the $2,500 ad credit for even the big accounts? But for them, that means nothing, right? That's like an FBA shipment. That's basically it. It's that. For small accounts, that's an FBA shipment. So yeah, I'm curious how that rolls out. We're probably going to be having a lot more conversations with accounting teams with our clients, with the financial departments, just to see if there's any way to mitigate that risk.
Yeah, I was talking to one of our brands yesterday about this as well, and one of the things that we talked about was just in this month of April, just tighter campaigns, not spending as much in this month. So
yeah, like the 15th is next week for those campaigns, is where that's when it starts launching. Now how that rolls out based on your payouts and whatnot, there'll probably be another overlap. So starting May is probably a very clean slate of like nobody being on the CC anymore. So yeah, it's going to get interesting for us. And that's basically our job, is like, how do we stay on the forefront of that advertising strategy for those particular brands, cash flow wise, until we can figure out that long-term solution. We're hoping that it doesn't affect our strategies too much. I don't think it will. Mostly affect them for the most part, cash flow wise, but most brands, if they're not going to see the cash come from Amazon through their payout, right? It's also, 30 days if they're on top of it, that they're not going to have to pay out that credit card. So it'll be a really tough, maybe 2 months before things hopefully level out and they kind of come to normal. It's a low season in sales too. So most brands are kind of preparing for that lull. Amazon's doing it right before. So we're prepared for Prime Day, June and July, I think. So like, it's giving that this is the perfect time to do it. We figure we have a few months to figure out what we're going to do before we start increasing bids and increasing our campaigns for Prime Day this summer.
sweet. What would be like our angle as an agency?
For us, we do need to make sure that we're on top of it. So like we just are finalizing our software right now to integrate, and we'll talk about this in the next point, but to integrate with Amazon's financial APIs directly so that we can focus on cash flow. Basically, that's like a big part of it. So for us, it's like we need better tools. We need to utilize AI more. We need to figure out how we can stay on top of cash flow, not be too reliant on Amazon's information or third-party information. We have our own strategies, which means not every tool or resource is going to be built for that, for us. So we should just build our own. So that dashboard, hopefully rolling out here in the next few weeks, is going to be super important for us to maintain control, get more financial visibility, understand its overall impact, and just be 2 steps ahead of the decisions so that we're not falling behind on any of these things.
Sweet. Yeah, I mean, we could transition into our new section, just talk about tariffs. Tariffs with China and all that. What do you think about everything that's going on?
Yeah, I mean, this is nothing new. I mean, these numbers are definitely bigger. One thing that's been, as we're digging deeper into some of the financial side, we're finding like some of our brands are not, now that they're looking into their books more, they're looking to their costs. Like Tyler, right? We just talked to him, and he's done his taxes, and he's like, oh, I overlooked so many things and I need to be on top of that, right? So he sources his product from China. He wasn't taking into account his tariff costs, right? And it doesn't happen until after you get hit with that tariff bill and you're like, oh crap, like I need to put that away. It's taxes, right? You need to hold that and understand it. Because you just take your average Alibaba buyer, it's like, oh, I see this product for $10 a pop. That's great with $1.50 shipping, and they put it in their books like, all right, this is $11.50 for cost of goods and freight. but then it's 150% tariff, 145% tariff, which is another $14.50. So they're $26 in landed costs, but they're acting as if it's, 10, $11. That's a problem for a lot of these people who are not seeing that. Now, for some of our listeners, it's going to be like, oh, those guys are just dumb business owners. But for other business owners, it's going to be like, oh, yeah, I need to make sure that I'm remembering that Alibaba is not going to include the tariff costs on this, right? You need to understand your HTS codes, which is the tariff codes that are coming down. I understand like how tariffs work. It's going to be the tariff fee on the purchasing price, right? Not necessarily the freight cost. So I know some guys who try to manipulate their way around it and just say, like how you sell a car for a penny, right? And avoid taxes. They're basically trying to do that, but they're getting screwed. So you got to stay on top of it and make sure you're doing it the right way, because it gets super hairy. So like for easy math, I think what we wrote down for this one was that you're doubling the cost basically of your cost of goods sold. So you're selling a product usually at a keystone at 50% landed cost to what you're selling it at. Your 50% keystone's already in the tariff in itself. So you're making $0 until you're too late. And now you're jumping into a market, if you're brand new, where you're like, oh, I can sell this for the same price as my consumers. No, you can't. You got to sell it for double. And it's too late by the time that hits. And is the Amazon market going to buy your product for double the amount? Probably not. I wouldn't, right? If I'm finding something else for cheaper. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. And at the end of the day, we do have some US manufacturer clients as well, where hopefully it really hits. Hopefully it really sticks. It lands. It's still going to be more expensive, but they don't. Their finances are cleaner. They don't have to deal with that. Their production is faster because it's here. So maybe we'll see something good come out of this, like President Trump promised.
Yeah. I was just getting into like the manufacturing side. Like, what's realistic for most like e-commerce brands? I think David and I we talked about like China plus one. Do you want to give more details into that?
Well, that's kind of like doubling your price, double the cost of goods immediately. China says it's $10, it's 20, right? Plus, it's going to be even more than that. So when we're running through these numbers, we're going to run a pod here shortly with another one of our partners, Von Hill, and he's going to go through. He's kind of the ideator here at Anata, amongst many other things. He wears multiple hats, but he's going to go through our product launch, like what he's thinking about when it comes to sourcing products. How do we get the economics right on that product? Is it a product market fit? Let's go through these particular check marks and kind of review what works, what doesn't work, and kind of get a better understanding of that. And then that's probably a good, like, just soft intro to that next podcast.
Okay, cool. I have no questions on that section anymore. I don't know, Spencer, did you have anything, or can we move on to like the next section?
It's fine.
Cool. We did talk about this in our last podcast as well, but just more about like Amazon co-mingling.
Mm-hmm.
I guess this is more in regards to like resellers, but for those resellers, if they sent in stuff, how do they know if there's an issue that comes in? Where can they go and how can they look for that?
If they're like getting stuff, I mean, they better know before they send it in, because what we talked about last time is that it's going to be, it's going to get rejected, and then they're going to pay for freight back, right? So for somebody who's they got to understand their costs. We reviewed this. You got 1,000 units, cost 10, 20 cents per unit. Call it $10. It's $100 per 1,000 units per SKU. So you could cost you basically, $8,000 on average just that year if you're trying to cover that cost. And as a reseller, you don't really have $8,000 that year just for labeling costs. It's including labor itself and the product for the sticker prices as well. But for them, it's going to get pretty heavy. If like overall, if we're calculating this on like a benchmark of like $100,000 brand a month, you're losing out a lot of money here. A lot of opportunity. Credit card points is a big one. I travel a lot. I use credit card points a lot on that. and we don't spend as much personally on our credit cards. And I know how impactful credit card points have been for me. So like with the change in credit card usage, the change in commingling costs that you're going to have to take on as a reseller, like forcibly take on, right? Because of commingling, you're not going to last very long these days on Amazon, which maybe is a good thing because we like to focus on the brand itself. But for the reseller and the arbitrager, it's probably not going to be in your best interest anymore. We mentioned this last time, but my Amazon guy says that the decline in resellers is moving quickly. There's less and less sellers every day on the platform, which is great for your average seller, but not that so great because what are the resellers usually selling to the bigger brands? It's just layering the bigger brands' pockets. Massive CPG brands, they're just basically lining their pockets with more revenue because they are winning 100% of the buy box instead of 50%, right? That's doubling their revenue on Amazon. So, yeah, it can go a few ways depending on how you think of it, for sure. But
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's a lot of information here. I guess we're just, all our people on Amazon, what should we be like? What should they be prioritizing in just these next 30 days, given all this information?
I would definitely stay on top of your books. We just launched on our website an updated version of our profit calculator. It has a bulk feature to bulk check all of your products. Now it does benchmark them against the same scenarios, so you do want to make some adjustments if there's different HTF codes, sizing tiers, etc. for your products. You want to make them those adjustments after you do the CSV, but run it again. Be very conservative with like the sales volumes. Be very liberal with like how many fees you're going to end up paying for it, right? So for us, if you go to our profit calculator on our website, you'll see that we try to include even like our fee. We try to include the advertising fee. Make sure you incorporate, your tariff fee on top of that landed cost if it's not included already in your cost of goods sold. So be on top of that like a hawk. I made a LinkedIn post that's like, we're going to get nickel and dimed anywhere and everywhere possible this next year. And it's not, and I'm always a big, now not that I'm a Debbie Downer, but it's only going to get worse. So don't act like things are going to get better and things are going to like, oh, people are giving me money. No, not these days. So plan for it to get worse. Be super prepared when it comes to the economics of your products being sold on Amazon, and measure twice, cut once before you make that decision, because if you mess up, sometimes that's the end of a business. And so even here at Anata, we're learning that the hard way. Like, we should have thought about this a couple more times, but that's what's, I guess, the fun of the game of e-commerce these times. So that's how I would close this pod out.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks everybody. I appreciate it. This is an interesting one. We'll keep trying to be on the forefront of the news. We'll see you in the next few episodes. Like I said, we got a couple of cool things happening. We're launching our new dashboard. We'll give you more details when we get some of the marketing material done. We'll launch a new pod with Von Hill, another one of our partners here at Anata, with sourcing and finding and product development. We are trying to be on the forefront there as well. And then obviously pushing these podcasts out. So stay tuned, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.
1, 2,